Regular programming will not be seen tonight. Stay tuned for an LEX 18 News special presentation.
They don't wear capes or masks. They don't have superpowers, but they are our heroes. Someone willing to sacrifice their life to keep others safe. Men and women upholding the law, fighting crime, and keeping you and your family safe. Good evening, I'm Kristen Flum. Thank you for joining LEX 18's special edition of Bluegrass Crime Stoppers. Before we begin, this is our organization's biggest year yet. If you've ever doubted that our program works, let us show you what we've done this year alone. 107 fugitives are locked up and awaiting their day in court thanks to the relentless work of detectives running down your tips. And the year's not over yet. We're on track to nearly double our previous record. Thank you for making it all possible. We begin with a decades-old cold case out of Western Kentucky. At home, he was everything they could want in a father. But there was a dark side to the work that Larry Keys did out of his Western Kentucky truck stop. Secrets that were about to be revealed in federal court. His family thinks that's what got him killed. 43 years later, they hope new information and a $50,000 reward of their own money will bring them peace.
There's a 48-year-old man standing here, but there's a 5-year-old kid inside. And we need some answers.
It was July 28, 1972. 31-year-old Larry Stinson Key made the trip up I-65 from the truck stop he operated to the family's Glendale home every day. Only that day, he never made it. You see, the business that he built had a dark side that his family never questioned.
He came from a poor rural area of the state of Kentucky. He was introduced into the business by an older brother, and he took that opportunity. That
side business, dealing methamphetamine. A year earlier, Key had been busted selling to an undercover cop. In exchange for a lighter sentence, he'd agreed to testify against the others involved. He was even offered protection by the feds, or so the family thought. Around 4 o'clock that July afternoon, some of his wife's friends caught some disturbing police scanner traffic.
She had heard that Larry Key had been shot and had died up at Glendale on the exit ramp.
In layman's terms, he was hit. There's no doubt in our mind.
At the time, it wasn't Kentucky State Police that were sent to investigate, but a man by the name of Harold Brown. Sound familiar? Yep, the corrupt former regional head of the DEA written about in the Bluegrass Conspiracy. Brown found dead of a gunshot wound himself 12 years later. It explains, Key's youngest son says, why the case went cold.
There was some corruption, a lot of corruption, and as a result of the corruption, that the investigation never took place.
There were people very concerned that he was going to tell what he knew.
A lot of those people, his sons say, are still around.
We believe they know what happened. And again, they purport to be of a Christian persuasion. And I'll say to them, your reward in heaven is not going to happen. If you take the knowledge of who killed your brother or your family member with you to your grave.
Here's another case that's gone cold, one that a family would like to see solved just in time for Christmas. It's been over a year since a mother of two was found gunned down outside of a home on Race Street. With no leads for months, Lexington police asked Crime Stoppers to step in, hoping that a cash reward would lead to answers in the murder of Amanda Franco. Still so far, nothing. In July of 2014, Lexington police homicide detectives had their hands full. They were already tracking leads in 4 shooting deaths that happened just a month earlier. Then July 6th, Amanda Franco was gunned down sitting on the steps of her Race Street home. Franco's murder was the 11th of the year.
She did not deserve this. There's nothing that anyone could have done to deserve something like this.
While Franco did have a history of drug charges, her best friend for more than a decade couldn't fathom how anyone could shoot the mother of two at 3 o'clock on a July afternoon and get away with it in a neighborhood where there's constant traffic. Detectives worked the crowd and witnesses. A year later, this case has gone cold.
We normally do get a lot of tips, or we'll get a lot of through the grapevine type leads to investigate. Unfortunately, in this case, we don't even have so much as a name.
Nearly 365 days have passed. Maybe the dark-skinned black man wearing the white t-shirt who witnesses describe doesn't even live around here anymore. And with the Crime Stoppers tip line, you can leave all of your information anonymously. Lastly, now there's $1,000 cash for whoever cracks this case.
Our message to them is that, you have to take these neighborhoods back. You have to cooperate with the police to get these people that commit these types of crimes, the drugs and the violence, out of your neighborhood.
What's worse than losing a loved one to a violent crime? Relatives will tell you it's no closure. A widow is desperate to know who killed Thomas Brown. The couple was asleep in their North Lexington home when police say someone fired shots, killing Brown. His death remains a mystery. For the first time, we're hearing a first-hand account of the morning when someone fired gunshots through the window of this home on Gerald Drive. The woman who was asleep in the bed is telling us her side of the story. Her husband isn't able to. It's been 2 months since his murder and still no arrests.
When this happened, we knew that it had nothing to do with him. Absolutely no way. That's not the person he is.
Long before Alicia Brown became Thomas's wife, they were best friends, choosing to live in the home where Alicia had spent more than a decade.
So he slept on this side, I slept on that side.
The couple's furniture is all gone now. There are no permanent reminders of the June 9th tragedy, but Alicia has relived it over and over.
I didn't even think anything about any gunshots until he said, "I am hit." And then when I realized, oh Lord, that's what made me roll over and hit the floor so quick, because at that instance is when I realized it was literally gunshots.
Thomas had been hit 4 times and died at UK Hospital. Alicia didn't have a spot on her. Neither did her son, who had 3 separate bullets fly through his window.
My son pulled me aside and he said, "Mom, I need to tell you something." And he said, God gave me a premonition and woke me up and said, you're in danger. You need to move over to the wall. And I followed what he said, and that spurred me.
We think that the person that came to this house that evening came here deliberately with someone in mind that he wanted to harm.
For the Browns' peace of mind, they need to know who and why. And she's begging for someone to step up and speak.
Just knowing that whoever done this is not walking around looking at me every day, and I don't even know it.
They were a young couple planning to spend the rest of their lives together. But things changed in 2007 when Jermaine Howard was shot right outside of his front door. His fiancée still wonders who did it and why.
But this is where we lived. He's always funny about his parking spot.
Yolanda Johnson can tell you almost anything about her former flame, Jermaine Howard.
We just mixed. We just had we had a lot in common.
The two dated for 7 years, moved into this apartment on Lakeshore Drive, and it wasn't long after that she put a ring on his finger.
So I got him a ring for Christmas and asked him, and then a little bit after that, my birthday's in February, so he got me a ring and we officially did the proposal.
Life as they knew it was good. In August of 2007, though, it all changed in an instant.
But I don't know.
And since then, there's been one question she can't answer. Who killed the 29-year-old?
The biggest theory was that possibly somebody was hiding underneath this.
As Yolanda showered that night, something sinister was happening right outside their front door. Jermaine collapsed in the living room, a gunshot wound to his face.
I always thought it was somebody who knew him. I always thought that because I just didn't think a random person would just pull up and just do something like that.
Police got a lot of leads.
We know a lot about this case, and the case file on this thing is as thick as a Bible.
But they're still waiting on that one, especially for Jermaine's mother.
He was her only son, and obviously I've moved on in my life. I'm happily married now, but she'll never get another son.
Do you know anything that could help solve these cases? If so, there are several ways to tip off police while staying anonymous. You can call in your tips at 253-2020. Email your tips by logging on to bluegrasscrimestoppers.com. Just click on the tab on the left, submit a web tip. You can find all of the information on our website, LEX18.com.
Hey, what are you doing? Kind of a moment. And honks his horn at it.
A road rage case continues to baffle Lexington police. The violent attack caught on camera. It's the disturbing image Crime Stoppers is hoping will lead to a break in that case.